So if you haven't noticed, Chick-fil-A is one of the fastest growing restaurants in the United States. Their growth is absolutely insane. I want to tell you a little bit about it. So first of all, to give you some perspective, Chick-fil-A was doing $1 billion annually in 2001. Fast forward to 2025 and they're doing $25 billion annually. That's $1 billion added every single year. In this video, I want to tell you exactly how they got there, the blueprint they use, and how you can use it in your restaurant. So I want to give you a little bit more perspective. So KFC is the #1 competitor to Chick-fil-A, right? But they're not even really competition. I always talk about this. I talk about infinite versus finite mindset. So finite short-term, infinite is long-term. If you have a finite mindset, that means that you have a short-term mindset, right? It's all about today. It's all about tomorrow. Infinite, I'm thinking about the future all the time. Chick-fil-A has an infinite mindset. And the reason why I say that is because in 2001, Chick-fil-A was doing $1 billion a year, which is phenomenal for any business. But Chick-fil-A really wanted to be competitive. They were growing at a really fast rate and they wanted to keep that growth going, but they wanted to grow in the right direction. So they really focused on something. How can we stand out from our competition? If we continue to grow and we start ruffling KFC's feathers, no pun intended, they had to be prepared for it. And they wanted to be able to compete with KFC. They knew KFC is going to come right at them. And so they wanted to separate themselves from the competition. Now, when you separate yourself from the competition in the restaurant industry, you have a couple of options, right? Like to truly separate yourself. #1, you can be the cheapest. No one wants to be the cheapest. That is a very dangerous road to go down. #2, you can have the best food, the best burger, the best chicken sandwich, but that becomes extremely subjective. Now, I'm not talking about you saying it's the best or your neighbors saying it's the best or locals saying it's the best. I'm saying it's unanimously worldwide known to have the best. In-N-Out's a great example of that, right? In-N-Out's known to have the best burger. McDonald's is an example of that. McDonald's is known to have the best fries. Other people have better fries than McDonald's? Yes, of course, but they're never going to sell fries because they're the best fries. Only McDonald's is gonna sell fries because they have the best fries. So you can either be the best, you can either be the cheapest, or you can have the best experience. And the best experience, the most obtainable, because it's not an opinion. It's not subjective. If you have a great experience, you have a great experience and anyone can do it. You don't have to have the best experience. You just have to have a great experience because great experiences are so rare these days. Hospitality is so rare these days. You know it. You can use yourself as a case study. How often do you get consistent elevated hospitality where you feel like the people actually care about you, where they take the time to take care of you, where you feel like you're actually welcomed and that they like your business and appreciate your business? It's very rare these days. And so it's an easy separator. Now, Chick-fil-A knew this all the way back in 2001, infinite mindset. They knew that this was going to be their separator, especially in the QSR fast food sector. They knew that they were going to be unstoppable if they did this. Now, a lot of people told them that they didn't need to do this, right? You don't need to have an experience if you're in QSR, if you're in fast food. Look at McDonald's, the #1 restaurant in the world. They have the same business model as you, yet they have no experience, right? Strictly transactional. But Chick-fil-A knew better. So what did Chick-fil-A do? They wanted to create an experience, but they knew they couldn't make it up out of thin air. They knew they couldn't just create it themselves. So they went to the experts. They went to the Ritz Carlton, and they had the Ritz Carlton create training, systems, leadership development, culture for their restaurant. My pleasure was literally ripped out of the Ritz Carlton playbook. Now, again, a lot of people came to them and said, you don't need to go to the Ritz Carlton. What does the Ritz Carlton and a fast food chicken sandwich place have to do with each other? They're not the same business. Ritz Carlton is known for offering luxury experience. Fast food chicken sandwiches are not known for offering fast food experience. But if you take 2 seconds to actually think about that for a second, that fast food chicken sandwiches are not known for having hospitality experiences, luxury experiences, then why wouldn't you automatically understand that this is the easiest separator to be the first fast food chicken sandwich place to offer luxury hospitality, luxury experience? Chick-fil-A figured that out. They understood that and they knew it. So they went against the grain, they went against everybody's advice, and they hired the Ritz Carlton. Now they spent a lot of money and they spent a lot of time to do this. It was a huge risk, but in my opinion, it was a calculated risk. They knew what they were doing, even though there wasn't a guaranteed payoff. And nonetheless, it did pay off because over the years, they became more and more popular. I even remember when Chick-fil-A first came onto my radar, I started seeing it everywhere. I started hearing people talking about how much they loved it. And when I went to Chick-fil-A for the very first time, I didn't get the hype, right? I got the chicken sandwich. I'm like, the chicken sandwich is fine, right? It's good, but why is everybody enamored with this brand? Why is everyone enamored with it? Why is everyone talking about it so much? And I didn't understand at the time, but it was because of the hospitality experience. Now I understand it, and that's what they've built their entire business model off of. Now, if you ever go to a Chick-fil-A, if you've ever been been to a Chick-fil-A, then you'll know what I'm talking about. For example, I've never seen a new person at Chick-fil-A. I can't identify new people versus seasoned people, meaning that I don't go up to the counter and order something and the person's kind of confused, or they don't know what they're talking about, or they can't answer a question, or they go, excuse, oh, can you help me out? I don't know where this button is. Sorry, I'm new. Can you help me out? Never, ever once have seen that. Here's another example. When you go to Chick-fil-A and you ask for a side of sauce, they give it to you with a smile. And if you ask them for a second side of sauce, they give it to you with a smile. And if you say, I want a third side of sauce, they give it to you with a smile. You can't break them. They're happy to be serving you, happy to have your business. Another example I'll give you is I was eating at a Chick-fil-A, talking to someone, and we had been done. We were talking for about 5 minutes after we were done eating, and I'm not kidding you, the 16-year-old kid came up to me with a giant smile on his face. He goes, can I take this trash out of your way? Can I take all the stuff out of your way so you have some more room to enjoy? But yet, they have a 16-year-old kid doing it with a giant smile on his face, like he genuinely enjoys doing it. Then he asked us if we wanted refills on our drinks. That's what I'm talking about, the hospitality experience. You're not gonna get that at Popeyes. You're not gonna get that at KFC. You're not gonna get that at McDonald's. You're not gonna get that at any of their competitors, and they do it nationwide. They have 3,000 locations they're able to do this. Now the question is, how? How do they do this? How do they use Ritz Carlton's playbook? Now, someone on my team is actually an ex-Chick-fil-A employee. They were part of their leadership development program. And so when I asked him, studied extensively with him about how Chick-fil-A is able to do this across the board and get everybody bought in, he had one word, and that was leadership. He said, leadership is the way. Leadership is what we base everything off of. Everything flows through leadership. It starts and stops with leadership. Yes, the training is there. They have great training, they have great systems, but the leadership development program is what it's all about. Their leaders have to properly train, motivate, retain, and nurture their staff. And they do an amazing job of it. And this is why I tell people all the time, restaurant owners all the time, if you truly want to be successful, you want to give an elevated experience consistently, you want to grow your brand through the elevated experience. You don't want to be the cheapest. You don't want to rely on being the best. The best does not mean that everybody in your circle is saying it's the best. Maybe everyone in the local area is saying it's the best. No, it's in the world known as the best. You don't want to go down that road. You don't want to go down being the cheapest. So you want to have the best experience in order to grow your business and stand out from your competition. It all starts and stops with leadership. That's the first thing you need and the last thing you need. Meaning that if you have great leadership and you have poor training, you'll have a lot more success than if you have great training and poor leadership, because you can develop the best training in the world, right? I can go into your restaurant, develop all the training, all the systems in the world, but when I leave and your leadership team can't properly support those training and systems, if they're not properly able to be leaders and not managers, then all of that's for nothing. It'll fall straight through the cracks. So it becomes Lord of the Flies, right? We don't want the crazies running the sane asylum. So that's why leadership's so important. Other people will lead you to believe that it's all about training. They can come in and train your staff. That's a bunch of BS. It's all about leadership, training, systems, culture. It's all one big piece. That's a blueprint that Chick-fil-A lives and dies by. That's the $1 billion a year solution that they came up with. Now, I want to put this in even more perspective, okay? So the biggest competitor for Chick-fil-A was KFC. You have to understand, at one point, Chick-fil-A, not too long ago, was not even on KFC's radar. Now it's their number one competitor. So one person they're the most afraid of, and they can't stop them. And I'll put it like this. KFC does $34 billion a year. Chick-fil-A does $25 billion a year. KFC does about 40 to 38% more business, which on paper sounds great, right? But the problem is KFC has 33,000 locations. Chick-fil-A has 3,000 locations. That means it takes KFC over 10 times the locations to only do 40% more of the business. So that's a big problem. That means per square foot, Chick-fil-A absolutely crushes KFC, without a doubt. And here's the craziest part of all. Chick-fil-A's closed on Sundays. That means they're closed one day out of the week. They do all those numbers despite being closed one day out of the week. They were closed 52 days. And they still crush KFC. Is Chick-fil-A sandwich better than KFC sandwich? No, it's totally subjective. It's totally up to you. There's not that big of a difference. It's just your flavor profile. But why Chick-fil-A does better? What's the reason? And why does Chick-fil-A possibly do better? They have less marketing, they have less money, yet they still do exponentially better numbers-wise. How do they do it? It's because of the guest experience. That's the only difference between KFC and Chick-fil-A is the guest experience. So that's why I tell restaurant owners, that's what you want to focus on. That's what you want your obsession to be. We're here to give the guests the best experience possible. That's what we do. That's what we obsess with. And that's what we're nonstop about. That's what we talk about all the time. That's what our leadership team talks about all the time. That's what they preach about all the time. That's what the owner talks about all the time. You should be able to walk into your restaurant and ask any employee what the mission of that restaurant is. And their mission is to give the guests the best experience possible. If you have that alignment, you you will succeed. And if you have the training and systems behind it, you'll succeed. And most importantly, you have to have the leadership in order to succeed. So if you're serious about getting ahead in the market, staying ahead in the market, building your brand value, going from one location to two, going from 2 to 10, going from 10 to 15, trying to franchise, anything like that, you want to heavily focus on and make your obsession all about the guest experience.